Good morning, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Mark's Mornings. We got some wonderful things planned for today. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you some of the word, and then we're going to come right back. So I've heard from a lot of pastors throughout this quarantine time. A lot of pastors, a lot of public speakers, and the biggest thing that God is saying to the church right now, and it's unanimous across the board, is God is saying, trust me through this season. There was a big, powerful move of fear that gripped this nation and the world. And rightly so, people are naturally going to be afraid. However, God says to trust me. Seek my word. Know that I am going to take care of you and I'm going to see you through this. It's the same situation that happened with Peter. In this story here, when he saw the wind and the waves, he began to sink and he was terrified. Just like many of us have seen the wind and the waves of the media, of the governments, and that's both the federal and state, people freaking out. You got celebrities trying to tell you, to stay home. Stay the heck at home. Stay home. But at the same time, they can live off of what they have saved up or the money that they've received for years. Maybe not all of them, but a large majority of them can, where some of us, we can't do that. So I understand both sides of the picture. You want people to be healthy enough to be around everybody, and then you have other people that need to get back to work. So a lot of that brings fear and anxiety and chaos. And if you don't have that solid foundation of faith, or if you're new to faith and you are just trusting God with the little bit that you have, the Bible says that it only takes a small mustard seed of faith to move mountains. Jesus didn't tell Peter in this story, you of no faith. But he said, you of little faith. His little faith got him out of the boat and got him to Jesus. But we need to continue to press forward. The message here is press forward, even if you are afraid. Keep trusting in God. Keep moving in the things of God. I want to tell you guys a short story about what happened with me in Trinidad. I'm a good swimmer, but my time swimming in the ocean was not as much as most people that have swam, their experience. My experience is a little bit less. I know of riptides, but I've never experienced one until I was in Trinidad. I was a young man. This was before I was married to my wife, Carlicia. We were dating at the time, but we weren't married. And I went with one of my best friends, Pastor Billy Huffman, to Trinidad. And we were swimming on, the coast. It was a great time. It was beautiful weather. One of our pastor friends there allowed us to stay in his guest home that was there, or his beach house. And, we stayed the day. It wasn't really something that we, did for a long time, but he allowed us that day. But I was caught up in a riptide, or a rip current, or whatever you want to call it. Whichever one, to me, it's a current that is grabbing you and pulling you out to the middle of the ocean. Well, I freaked out. I knew and I was confident in the ability to swim. But during the pressure that was coming in, I began to freak out. And as the water began to pull me further and further out, I got so tired. It felt like that I had ran for miles and miles and miles, that I started to get afraid and I began to sink. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just looked up at God and I said, Lord, help me. And this big shamu of a man appeared behind me and picked me up and threw me forward. I didn't know who the heck that was until the second pickup, when he grabbed me from the back and picked me up and threw me. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm hitting the water. And getting back up, like, and then here comes another one, picked me up and chunked me. So I'm like, ah! So you can imagine this small little Puerto Rican guy that's about 120 pounds just flying in the middle of the air. And then finally we got to the shore. And I laid there, and finally it clicked in. That was Pastor Billy. Pastor Billy was a big guy back then. And yeah, I was such a small dude that it was easy. I mean, you could have just, boop, and I was knocked over. But I tell you, that was one of the scariest moments of my life. And many of the reasons was because I never experienced that. Now, Peter was an experienced fisherman. But even the winds and the waves scared him. I was an experienced swimmer. But the waves and the current scared me. But thank God for people that are willing to step out and help others. Thank God for the timing of everything that happened, because only God knew exactly when I was going to be giving out. And at that point, I was giving out. Not that God was slow, but God knew. And I was able to go home and be with my at the time, soon to be fiance, and continue preaching and teaching the word. There is more to life than watching what everybody else is doing. What is God teaching you through this season? What is He wanting you to learn through this season? And what has God called you to do? Peter was not called to die that day. He wasn't. And neither was any one of those disciples on the boat. Jesus was encouraging him to grow in your faith. And when you are afraid, and when you are scared, and you begin to have crazy anxiety, look up at God. God, I need you. And He's going to be right there. And trust and believe that God is going to get you through this. Not just as, oh Lord, I got through this, thank God. That's not going to happen again. But God is going to teach you to be stronger for the next time. Because the enemy loves chaos. And if he can cultivate chaos and push it towards you because he knows that your faith is small, then he's going to keep tempting you with the same issues over and over and over again. God is going to take that situation and going to grow your faith. And the enemy is going to lose every single time if you continue to trust in the Lord. Let's remind the enemy today that even if we do have small faith, we serve a big God. And that just like with Peter shouting out to the Lord, save me, even though I'm afraid, immediately God's going to grab your hand and pull you up. Because He is stronger than the wind. He is stronger than the waves. He is stronger than the government. He is stronger than the financial hardships. He's stronger. So let's believe that together, guys. I hope you enjoyed this time of Mark's Mornings. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to this video. More and more are coming, guys. And so thank you for your love and your support. Take care of yourselves. Please know that you're loved here at Mark's Mornings. And we'll talk to you later.